It says it's live. Do you want to take a look on the different, I'm just using...
You? Okay.
Yeah, if you go onto Twitter, onto my Twitter account. Oh, I might not have put all the output sources yet.
I see the link.
What link?
There's two. One is twitch.tv/Jayson, and the other one stream is restream.io.
Let me go to restream and see if I'm actually restreaming yet, because I think that's the missing piece here. Okay, we're going to restream. I'm live right now.
Oh yeah, I see.
Hit mute on your computer. Alright, I'm getting some kind of warning from Periscope. It says the audio bitrate's too high, but that's fine. So can you check each of the streams? So just tell me which one you're looking at and if it's working.
I clicked on your link in Twitter.
So that's Twitter. Okay. So we retweeted it? That's nice. Can you go down, or just go to my initial link where I said the other places you could find it?
Here?
Yeah, so there's those. Okay, it's saying that Twitch is offline. So let me see why. Hold on a second. Because it should be streaming to Twitch. That's weird that it's not. I wonder if I set it up with the wrong Twitch or something?
Well, this is an ad.
Yeah, I know, but oh, you're thinking maybe after the ad it'll run?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find out. Because it does say I'm live, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to wait for this ad. Good thing it's an ad for a cool show. Okay, cool. Twitch is working. Alright, you can close that window, but we're going to leave it open, I guess. And then go back. Well, there was one more link on there. It was a YouTube link. Cool. Okay, you can do that. And then how about Facebook? Yay. Cool. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just start reading the book then. Maybe you could, well, I guess, I was going to say maybe you could go in the other room with headphones and see if the audio's okay. I don't know if you'll get echo if you do that, but I'd like to test that out.
Okay. It did get echo the last time you sent me something.
Even with headphones on?
I had my AirPods, maybe that's...
Try using the studio headphones that are over here. Hold on a second. If anybody's actually watching the stream, we're actually starting it and just figuring out how to make things work. I don't know if anyone is or not, but just looking for headphones. So I'd say take me in the other room now, because you'll still hear me. Alright, I don't know if anybody's watching yet, but this is my attempt to test out. We've got the CRPG book, and I'm going to read some of it today and check it out. Yeah. Alright. So let's get this book under the... I don't know how to do picture-in-picture yet, because this is the first time I've done any kind of streaming. So, I guess sometimes I can hit transition and wave, but That doesn't really help. Okay, so there we go. And hopefully the music's not too loud. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing here, so I just wanted to read this book. Because I was waiting for it to come in the mail for a while. I saw this book on eBay. Somebody was selling it for a huge amount of money, and I thought it was way too much, so I was like, what is this thing? It wasn't on Amazon. It was not on... I couldn't get it at the library, which is always the first place I look for a book. It wasn't for sale on Amazon. I finally found out it was actually this project that had been done by a lot of different people, and they did an older version of it that I found on archive.org. And it says here it's the result of 4 years of work and the collaboration of 119 volunteers. So I saw the older version, I saw a PDF of it on archive.org, and that was free. And I looked at it, and I'm like, this is pretty cool, but it didn't exactly match the pictures that I saw in the eBay auction, so I did more searching and finally found out that there was actually a whole website just for this book. You can download this book for free, the PDF of it for free, the latest version, but they also had it for sale, and the price was really reasonable. It was like £30, which is something in dollars, I don't know what. And so I just decided to order it, and it showed up incredibly quickly all the way from UK, so I'm really excited to check this out. This is a history of all of the computer RPGs that were worth including by these 119 different volunteers. So it starts out just kind of talking about how the project came to be. I'm going to jump ahead to the computer... to the game reviews, not reviews, but the game overviews themselves pretty soon. But I just wanted to kind of peek around a little bit at the stuff in the beginning first. And we're listening to Komisher Lava right now, and I wanted to have mostly nice space music, and this is way too excited, so I'm going to skip past that. Spotify is really, really bad at doing shuffle. I don't know why they're so terrible at shuffling. You would think they'd be better. Okay, now it's Tanto's expanding headband, which is way better. So anyways, yeah, this is the CRPG book project. You have all these different contributors here, a lot of people going by their online names like Dark Toes and Darth Roxor, Crooked Bee, Blubbert. You also have just people like Brian Stratton, Andreas Indervildi, all sorts of folks. I'm not going to read all of them, because I'm not actually reading the whole book for this stream. I'm just going to give you an overview, so hopefully this is showing up pretty well on here. So this is a guide on how to use this book. Beautiful artwork. This is obviously all the artwork is coming from the games. This is for Might and Magic 4, Clouds of Xeen. So a lot of different people contributed to this book. And the idea here is to use this book a little bit differently than a normal book would be. So there's an FAQ at the beginning, right off at the bat. Things like, how do I even get into CRPGs? Because they're not all modern CRPGs. There's going to be some in this book that are more recent, but these go back to the 1980s. CRPG is a computer role-playing game, to kind of distinguish it from a TRPG, a tabletop role-playing game. They're all RPGs, but these are all computer role-playing games. So if you're new to them, the questions here are like, which version should I buy? How do I play these things? And they just give you some kind of tips that those of us who maybe grew up with these older computer RPGs know about, but they're really useful if you didn't. So some of the things that are in here are just explaining stuff that you should kind of get used to, that they're going to be a little bit different from modern games. So save often, and it points out autosaves and checkpoints weren't common until the 2000s, so remember to save often or you could lose hours of progress. Start slowly, start with some dungeon crawlers. Maybe you have some good suggested starting points here, like from the 80s, Dungeon Master, Fantasy, Wasteland, and Quest for Glory. This is a really big thing. There's two big deals here. what should I keep in hand while playing? So, should I read the manual? It's asking, should I read the manual? Yes, totally always read the manual before playing, because the thing about older CRPGs is they're not going to give you tutorials, they're not going to walk you through it. For one thing, there was no expectation of it. Like, if you're talking about computer role-playing games that were written in the early eras, people were just trying to create a... basically, when we played CRPGs in the early 80s, we were playing regular RPGs at the table, and you couldn't always get your group together, and sometimes you just wanted to go on a dungeon crawl, right? So the idea was that the computer was just like another player with you. You still expected to have all the books and all the maps and all those kind of things with it. How's the video looking?
It's good, but there's some comments on Facebook saying there's echo.
Oh, okay. I wonder why.
And I hear echo, so that
Maybe if I think it's because I had the computer running. Do you want to check now and see if there's an echo still? Thank you.
right in the chat.
I can't see the chat, so you might as well just come tell me. I think people are cool. All right, thanks whoever mentioned the echo. I'm going to, hopefully I just fixed it by hitting mute, but Hanai is going to go check. So it says always keep pencil and paper nearby for note-taking and map-making. And because when you're playing through CRPGs, you're making maps, just like if you were playing a tabletop RPG. You need to read the manual. There's always going to be a ton of stuff in the manual that they just couldn't fit for space reasons on the disc. So a lot of stuff ended up in paper and in manuals, backstories, things you need to know. You should take notes as you go, because older things don't have quest logs. They just expect you basically to draw your own maps, write your own notes, and just let the computer be a help to you rather than being the entire experience. And I think that's the big thing they have to tell you. I'm going to skip over a little bit of this. I'm going to actually read this book a few times in different stages. So I'm not going to get into what's an old school RPG, or some of the ports here. So it's really cool. You can see all the different ports for different versions of Defender of the Crown, for example. Like the Commodore Amiga, Apple II GS, Commodore 64, NES. It's kind of fun to remember like an era when you would buy a game for a different computer and it would look really different. I mean, look at the difference between Eye of the Beholder in CGA and VGA. It's just crazy. We're so kind of spoiled by it now. How's the echo doing? Is it any better?
It's still echoing. I looked it up and it says check to see if both of your cameras, the audio is...
Oh, I bet that's what's happening. Okay. Let me see if I can change... I'm going to turn off the audio on one of these if I can. I'm new to some of this, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take off the whatever you call it, the front-facing one, and I'm just going to keep the book one. So now there's only one audio source. And then if that fixes the echo, come on back in so you can tell me what people are saying, because then we can answer them. First time jitters. So this is cool. It's got all these different versions of a game. I mean, look at the difference between Might and Magic, the Apple II original release, and then you get to like the NES port and all this color and everything else. Yeah, we've really gotten spoiled with the idea that when you play a game on one machine, it's going to be pretty much the same everywhere. That you're not going to be getting this kind of a difference between like an Xbox and a PlayStation, or between a Mac and a Windows machine, or even between an Android and an iPhone. Did I fix the echo? Really, there's only one source.
It says check microphone properties.
In OBS?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see this thing called listen to devices.
Okay.
Checked, run, checked.
Audio. So desktop audio is disabled, auxiliary audio is default, monitoring device is default. Gosh.
Is there a thing called listen to this device?
Do you know where it would be?
In microphone properties?
Well, I've got audio, but there's no such thing as microphone properties where I'm looking.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But then I don't know. Okay, I'm just going through all the different stuff. Record when streaming, studio mode, stream, output, audio. Video, hotkeys, advanced. No. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to actually turn off one of these entirely.
It says check to see if the monitor is set to off.
What's a monitor?
I don't know.
Okay, how about now? I just turned off the audio entirely. I think I just fixed all the audios, but I don't know. I can't hear you. It's fixed? Okay, great. You can come on back so I can hear you. All right, thank you for helping me fix it, whoever was helping. I really can't hear anything you're saying. You're on the other side of the house. I know you're talking. Hi. What were you saying?
I was saying to keep talking.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, I think we fixed the audio. I think we fixed the audio. Okay. So, you want to just hang out in here so you can tell me if there's comments?
Okay.
So let's see. Yeah. So, anyways, that's some of the beginning stuff. I'm going to skip over a bunch of the other things that are happening in the beginning of the book because I'm going to go back and look at this again. This is just my first time doing this. So, skipping over some of these things, just kind of talking about cartography and how do you make maps. It gets very John Peterson playing at the world here for a minute when it starts going to the actual origins of RPGs with H.G. Wells playing Little Wars on the Floor and Kriegspiel. And I'm going to skip past even more of the history because it's really fun, but I want to come back to it later. I want to get into some of the games. I want to actually get into the games themselves. So this is the meat of the book, the reviews. And we've got about 1 billion different games in here. I forget how many exactly, but so here's the very beginning, going back to the first personal computers. My first personal computer, the Apple II, one of the first ones that can always be argued about, the Altair 8800, etc. Going through here. So this is really where it starts right here, is Beneath Apple Manor. This is the first roguelike. Before there was a word roguelike. And there's a really good book that I've been reading about roguelikes, just nothing but roguelikes, and they talk about Beneath Apple Manor a lot and Don Worth. But they also get into things like Sword of Fargoal, which I'm hoping is going to show up in here in just a minute, because that's one that has been re-released on the iPhone, but I don't see it here. Okay, I'm going to just, for right now, let's just pick one. I'm going to come back to Emon because this is my favorite of the CRPGs. But I want to skip a little further into the future so that it doesn't stay totally too retro. Let's actually pick at random here. Slightly random. Shadowlands, Legend, the Bard's Tale construction set. Let's start with that one. All right, so the Bard's Tale construction set. BT Builder is an open source implementation of the Bard's Tale construction set. A build is under development at identicalsoftware.com. So that's kind of cool. It shows us the maps editor. Its best feature, it says, with 4 tile sets, a powerful tool for creating events, and the option to quickly test it while you build. And you can edit the stats of items, monsters, and spells to create new ones, but you can't edit the rules behind them or add new ones, which kind of makes sense. You know, that's the rules they had set for it. But this is cool. It's like a chance to be not just a dungeon master, but actually be writing your adventure. And this is Interplay 1991. It's for MS-DOS and Amiga. The Bard's Tale, I'm going to read a little bit of this. The Bard's Tale series was a hit back in the mid-'80s, adding colorful graphics and a light-hearted atmosphere to the classic wizardry formula. But it was a short-lived one, as the series ended in 1988 due to a legal dispute between Interplay and EA. Meanwhile, the genre kept moving forward with titles like Dragon Wars, Might and Magic 3, Wizardry 6, the Gold Box series, etc. Yet in 1991, Interplay returned to Bard's Tale, this time with an editor. Unfortunately, it's a rather sad return. Oh. I didn't know this was going to be a sad return. The goal was to allow players to make their own RPGs. They can even export them as standalone games, but the editor suffers from severe limitations. Races, classes, and stats cannot be changed at all. You're stuck with the Bard's Tale rules. Well, I mean, come on, reviewer, that's not fair. I mean, it's Bard's Tale. It doesn't say the Bard's Tale change all of the rules game. It's a construction set. So that's not fair. And while you can create custom items, spells, and monsters, the variables are so limited that even recreating the original Bard's Tale 1 would be impossible. The graphics, while good-looking, lack variety, allowing for few interesting encounters. Overall, there just isn't enough flexibility to create anything other than a lesser Bard's Tale clone. Well, okay, that's a fair critique, but I mean, it still would be a lot of fun just to make your own adventure, even if it is, you know, quote unquote, just another Bard's Tale clone. At least it's your adventure. In fact, the construction set came with its own sample scenario, Starlight Festival, which was just that, an inferior Bard's Tale game. Slow, grinding, and with none of the series' original creators or charm, it felt out of place next to the great RPGs of the era. And the killing blow came with the arrival of SSI's Forgotten Realms, Unlimited Adventures 1993, a much more powerful editor for the popular Gold Box series. And that's the Gold Box Advanced Dungeons & Dragons series that really is amazing. So from that point on, anyone still interested in creating their own RPG had no reason whatsoever to choose the Bard's Tale construction set. This is particularly noticeable in how rare fan-made modules are. Searching online, the only surviving modules are the Bard's Lore 1 and 2, created by John H. Wigforce in the late 90s, and The Bard's Quest Dungeon of the Unknown by Visionsoft. The former are simple games full of jokes and pop culture references, and since that was made in like 1991, the pop culture references are probably pretty stale. Although now that we're in the Ready Player One era, they're probably all fresh again and, you know, nostalgia cool, right? Where was I? The latter is nothing more than Interplay's Starlight Festival repacked with a new name, possibly to be shamelessly resold as a standalone game. Maybe. As such, while there are still communities for Unlimited Adventures, and even for older games like Emon, we're going to Emon next if they're going to name check Emon here, the Bard's Tale construction set never took off and now lies completely forgotten. So, okay, the first part of the book was somebody pooping on a game. But that's okay. It's still pretty cool, and it does get me thinking about construction sets, and one of the things that was most fun about CRPGs was making your own things. So we're going to jump back. Ooh, NetHack. All right. NetHack, we're going to do NetHack after Emon, because NetHack is kind of the roguelike that I think the most number of people play. So let's go there in a minute. But let's start out with Emon. Is there anybody still watching? Anybody in the chat?
How do you...
Oh, just on any of the places, because we're doing it to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube all at once, so I'm not sure if anybody's left any messages anywhere. So you can just check Twitch, Facebook,
Facebook.
What's that?
The chats are in Facebook.
Okay, that's where people are? Okay, are there nobody on the other ones yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I basically put one tweet up saying I was going to do this. This is really a practice run, so whoever's joining on Facebook, I'm very appreciative of.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody says anything, just let me know. So that, because since I can't see the Facebook feed right now, I wonder, will it? I'm going to just go see if I can look at Facebook while I'm streaming. Tell me if I screw up the camera or anything.
Okay.
Because I'm interested.
You have to move.
I
can see. Okay.
Oh, you mean you have to see if the camera's doing anything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to Iman. So this is one that was my favorite game on the Apple II, and I guess it came out for a bunch of different platforms. I did not know that, so that's kind of cool. I played it on the Apple II, and what was cool about Iman was... okay, cool. I see all the echo people. So what was really cool about Iman was that it was the closest thing that you could get to playing Dungeons and Dragons on your computer in the early 80s. More so at the time, I think, than even like the Gold Box or the official TSR releases or the official AD&D releases were. Because what Iman did was it actually let you write your own adventures completely and distribute them for free. Everything on Iman was free. It was all open source. Wasn't a phrase at the time, but it was all open source. I'm just going to read this because I'm so excited about Iman, and I'm not even reading the entry here. So it says that there's even a handy browser version of it, which is great. And then every time you opened Iman for the first time, you would see this kind of iconic dragon sitting up at the top of the screen here. And this screenshot that somebody took here is from an Apple II, and they really did kind of a silly thing. They took the screenshot while the Apple was on a color monitor, because you can see, if you can see, there's these little blue and orange and green and purple artifacts all over the text, and it makes it hard to read. The way the Apple II worked at the time was that it did a bunch of hacks in order to display color. So if you were looking at something in full color mode, it looked good, but if you tried to read text, it would put all these extra bits of color in it as sort of artifacts that were a result of the hack that they did in order to fit color on such a small amount of space. And so when you're looking at these kind of things, you should just have it in black and white mode, and whoever took the screenshot didn't. So it looked way cooler than that in real life. Anyway. You walk into the Adventure Guild, register your name and abilities, then buy a weapon and a piece of armor. After asking the nearby wizard to teach you some spells, you enter a hall lined with doors, each leading to a different adventure, in a different setting, written by a different person. Welcome to Iman. So Iman isn't just one game, it is a game system, a set of rules and tools for creating more games. Initially circulating by word of mouth, it became popular via Recreational Computing, an American computer magazine. This book is from the UK, so they say things like American Computer Magazine. Their July 1980 issue is entirely dedicated to fantasy games, quote unquote, with articles about how to create such games for their future as a genre, and also a few games such as Iman and Wizard's Castle with their authors explaining how they work, and the next few pages containing the game's entire basic code. Readers would type the code on their computers and then save it on a tape or disc in order to play. This was a cheap way to distribute games before the internet, but also an invaluable resource in helping aspiring programmers learn from others' code. Created by Donald Brown, Iman's Heart is its main haul program, used to create your character and load adventures. You simply type a name, and the game will generate a character based on 3 stats. Hardiness, which determines HP and carries weight. Agility, used in combat and when activating traps. And charisma, which controls how friendly NPCs are, mostly if they'll attack you or not. And store prices. You can buy weapons and armor at the store, as well as spells from the wizard. There are 5 weapon types, 3 armor categories, and 4 spells. Heal, blast, speed, and power, which heal, deal damage, boost agility, or ask the gods for a favor, respectively. The main haul also includes a sample adventure called Beginner's Cave, and it's a good taste of what Iman is. It plays much like text adventures such as Colossal Cave, 1976. The game gives you a description of the room you're currently in, and you act by typing commands such as north to head north, get sword to grab a sword on the ground, etc. So yeah, this was kind of the structure of all the text adventures at the time, was just... And this is why I think text adventures work so well now, because we're in like the era of Alexa and Siri and Google Voice. And there actually are text adventures you can play on Alexa. So if you're like driving in your car and you want to play a game, you can play a text adventure. So, I mean, Iman should come back for this. Furthermore, as soon as you finish the adventure, you've returned to the main hall, given you survive, and you can use your new weapons and skills in hundreds of brand new adventures. And that's true. There were hundreds. I don't think anybody has a whole collection of all of them. All created by other players using Iman's Dungeon Designer diskette. This means you can take the magical sword at the end of the Beginner's Cave into a space adventure. Use it to stop an alien invasion, and then bring your newly acquired blaster rifle to ancient Greece to blast the Minotaur, or any other adventure whose disc you manage to get at college or at work, trade by mail, or create yourself. Remember, this was long before the internet or even BBSs became popular. And this is why Iman was so cool. Because other adventure games, you played through it and you're done. And the character you created, what was the point of it? You pretty much, your adventure's over. Maybe, if you're lucky, you could pick up a later CRPG that actually, I think the Bard's Tale, that actually let you take your character through multiple adventures. But you were still limited to whatever the company came out with. This was more like Dungeons & Dragons, because in Dungeons & Dragons, you can go and buy some modules that have been created by the company or by third parties, and they were really good. But they're finite. Most people would create their own adventures. So with Iman, you're creating your own adventures, just like you're playing Dungeons & Dragons. You're the DM, writing adventures. But you can share them with the world. There's no easy way to distribute your module. If you were playing D&D, you weren't going to go down and get this thing printed professionally and put into stores. It just wasn't that easy. But with Iman, you could just write an adventure, put it on a disc, and then just take it to your school's computer lab, tell all your friends to copy it. One of them gives it to his sister, who takes it to college, and she gives it to her friends, and they pass it to somebody else. And I don't know how it all actually worked, but somehow, when I was living in Carroll, Iowa, sitting on the far western reaches of the Dagobah system, or wherever I was, I had a friend in Storm Lake that I would just drive up to, and somehow magically he would have new Iman discs, and I would copy them and bring them back, and that's just how it spread. And it did. It actually spread. So, Donald Brown says up here, so here's a really cool little screenshot at the top that shows some of the game. Your command, attack pirate. Kappa 2 attacks pirate. I hit! Pirate is dead! As the pirate chokes and dies, the flame on his sword dies also. You are in a small bay. High walls surround you so that the only exit is back in the tunnel to the west. To the east, on the bank of the sea, is a broken old boat. There's a beautiful sword here with intricate carving on the handle. Written on the blade is the name, Troll's Fire. There is a large pile of jewels here. The dead body of the pirate is here. Your command? I mean, that's amazing! You are not getting that out of other games. It is years before graphics get good enough to make that kind of a scene fun in graphics. But in text, it's there already for you. We're talking years before computers were even slightly powerful enough to show something exciting like that, and it's all happening in your mind. Yeah, now computers can do it, but you gotta think, before this happened, nothing like it existed, and then this just shows up, and anybody can write one, and you can play anybody's version, and you can take your character that you created and go from adventure to adventure to adventure, keeping your stuff and growing as a character. That is really close to D&D on a computer. This is why I loved Emon. So, seeing the game's success, Donald Brown created Sword Thrust, 1981, a sequel to Emon. I've never heard of this. But this time as a commercial product. That's probably why. I was a kid. I was broke. Despite several improvements, such as a better interface and more spells, it was never as popular and had few adventures made for it, resulting in Brown abandoning game development. I'm sorry, Donald Brown. The free public domain nature of Emon had made it spread across the United States, and with Brown leaving Emon behind, the community rose to the challenge of keeping the game alive. Programmer John Nelson hacked the system to allow for more complex designs, and in 1984 founded the National Emon Users Club, an association that cataloged Emon adventures and published a newsletter with reviews and design tips. I did not know this. I need copies of this. Somebody find me copies of the National Emon Users Club newsletter. That's amazing. I bet it's online. I bet I just haven't looked hard enough. In 1988, the club became the Emon Adventurers Guild, helmed by Thomas Zuschowski, and can still be found, oh, there you go, and can still be found at emonag.org. And this book is brand new. This book came out like a week ago, so I'm pretty sure that website is still up. Their records contain 256 adventures. Interesting. I wonder if that's... because 256 is the most number of things you can fit into 8 bits, or 4 bits, or whatever the number of bits is. It's something binary that, 256 is the magic number. That's the number of somethings in a something. So maybe it's a coincidence. But anyways, their records contain 256 adventures, most created between 1984 and 1994, but sadly it stopped being updated in 2005. And look at this, they've got a character sheet in here. They say the status screen, but you are the fair Capitu. Your attributes are hardiness 23, agility 37, charisma 27. I'm excited already just looking at that. I mean, just those numbers can change. I can do things with them. I can go to different games and play this. You know the following spells: blast, heal, power. Your weapon abilities are axe, 11%, bow, minus 10%, club, 24%, spear, 10%, sword, 34%. You have armor, plate and shield with an armor something of 16%. 2,365 gold in hand, nothing in the bank. Don't get killed, they're going to take your gold. Weapons, you have Troll's Fire, the sword, an axe, a lightsaber, and a blaster from outer space. That's awesome. Today, it's easy to download the adventures and enjoy how diverse they are. And make your own. Make some more. You might be a pirate, a cop, or a time traveler. Delve into Moria, hunt hackers, fight cyborgs, explore the inside of the Death Star, or even play as Batman pursuing the Joker. Copyright TM, registered trademark, don't do that. Of course, the problem with having a game entirely based on user-generated content is the quality varies wildly. Yep, some games are creative and well-designed, while others suffer from poor writing, cheap deaths, obtuse puzzles, and tiresome combat. The Star Wars adventure listed above sounds cool, but it's filled with endless battles against stormtroopers. Something tells me these need a review section. Oh, it says publish a newsletter with reviews and design tips. Okay, well, needs a database then. Yet, I finished it. mostly because I really wanted to bring a lightsaber with me. Mind you, the lightsaber functions like any other sword, and it was actually weaker than the other weapons I had. The only thing special about it was a lightsaber. But this incredible power that words have to feed our imagination is precisely why Iman conquered so many fans. That's true. It says here, the Iman Adventurers Guild produced a CD which comes with 242 public domain adventures, maps, guides, and all their newsletters and some emulators. So there you go. All the newsletters are on the Iman Adventurers Guild. So, oh, the book is so good. This is the CRPG book. That's one game out of the CRPG book that's in here. There's something, I don't know how many hundreds are in here. Let's look at the table of contents. So we've got games starting in 1975 with Beneath Apple Manor. Goes through the Booms, the Clones, and the Crash, 80 to 84. Iman, Rogue, etc. 1985 to 89, here come the new challengers. Wizard's Crown, The Bard's Tale, Quest for Glory. 1990 to 1994, The Creative and Technological Explosion, so Ultima 6, The False Prophet, Fate, Gates of Dawn, Ultima 7, The Black Gate. 95 to 99, 3D Worlds. You know, we should just do, if enough people can watch the stream, I should just take requests, like which game should we read? Because I'm probably not going to be, if I read 524 pages, and we got through like 4 today, and that was an hour, so that's like 100 hours, and I don't think I have 100, that's 2 years of doing it if I'm doing it at lunch, and I want to read more than one book. So we'll have people like take requests and stuff. But there's still 12 minutes left before I have to go back to work. So let's pick another one. Let's go further into the future. So Iman was awesome, but let's do one in the future. Let's go with one that's only a page long because we only have 12 minutes. And Skyrim, that's too new. We'll get to Skyrim later. Let's back up a little bit. Let's do... no, not Warhammer. I'm really just flipping through trying to... Ooh, Puzzle Quest. That looks fun. Mass Effect, Dark Messiah, Neverwinter Nights, Gothic 3, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Sudeki. Let's just do The Bard's Tale. All right, so The Bard's Tale, this will be the last one for today's stream. And then I'll talk to people online and figure out which ones I should read. So The Bard's Tale, this is 2004. The Bard's Tale existed, before this, but I'll just go on this one. So this is from In Exile Entertainment, Windows, Mac, PlayStation 2, Xbox, iPad, etc. One of the big mid-2000s trends were hack-and-slash action RPGs for consoles, such as X-Men Legends, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Champions of Norath, and Demon's Stone. They were such a guaranteed hit that Interplay canceled its PC-exclusive Fallout 3, aka Van Buren, to focus on Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, 2004. An infamously bad action RPG for PS2 and Xbox. By the time Brian Fargo had already sold Interplay and founded his new studio, In Exile Entertainment, by this time he'd done that, but he had also joined the trend releasing The Bard's Tale. That doesn't mean the game is devoid of originality. While borrowing Dark Alliance's engine, The Bard's Tale is actually a satire of fantasy RPGs. You play as the Bard, an arrogant and lazy anti-hero, voiced by Carrie Elwes. I didn't realize that. I missed out on this era. So that's Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts of The Princess Bride, who desires nothing but coin and cleavage. Like plumbers? But this game has a very light RPG system with customizable stats and unlockable talents, but no inventory. That's lame. Loot is automatically converted into gold, and new weapons are auto-equipped. Certain dialogues also offer the choice of being snarky or nice. This is why I play real RPGs, tabletop RPGs, because I don't want to press the button that says snarky. I want to make the dumb joke and be snarky. The humor is hit and miss. Some jokes are funny, I doubt it, and the songs are well executed, but there's also many lazy puns and dated pop culture references. As much as the game enjoys making fun of fantasy cliches, your quest is as cliche as it gets. The only difference is that the bard does it while spewing snide remarks and arguing with the narrator, voiced by Tony Jay, Judge Frollo in Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Despite being an action RPG, combat is the game's weakest feature. All you do is attack in melee, fire ranged weapons, or use a magical loot to summon allies. The interface, clearly designed for consoles, is terrible on PCs, and the more you advance, the more combat there is, ruining the pacing between jokes. In the end, the Bard's Tale's biggest sin is its name. Right, because this is not the first Bard's Tale. By itself, it is a decent, lighthearted action RPG for consoles. Not as good as Champions of Norath and other popular hack-and-slash titles, but not as terrible as Fallout Brotherhood of Steel either. However, as a game that carries the legacy of Brian Fargo and shares his name with the classic Bard's Tale series, it's underwhelming, a reminder of how disappointing the mid-2000s were for classic CRPG fans. So they have a little stuff in here. It was remastered in 2017, adding higher resolutions. Who cares? And the original Bard's Tale trilogy is a bonus. Somebody cares. That's the reason to get it. So I'm pretty certain this is on iOS right now. I might go and get it just for the original Bard's Tale. In this version, the game's controls are simple, but were made with controllers in mind and require a lot of input on radial menus. Which, again, if you're going to put it on a PC, I mean, just make a PC version. Don't just radial menus for somebody who is playing it on Xbox before. Being a game about a bard, many songs are incorporated into the game, such as the Charlie Mops sing-along song. I'm not going to sing that. All right, so today was 3 things from the book. It was a underwhelming dungeon creator for... I already forgot which one it was because they said it was underwhelming, so I didn't pay attention. And then there's the Bard's Tale, which was part of, I guess, Not a Great Time. And then the Iman, which was part of A Great Time, the best time. I'm going to go play Iman after this. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to work. But tonight I'll play Iman. So, yeah, that's it for today. This is my first time trying to do book streaming. I don't know if it works or not, but I'm going to do it a whole bunch of times until everybody tells me to shut up and don't do it anymore, or somebody actually likes it and says, I want to see you read books on the internet. So, thanks everybody. That was fun. We'll look at more of this book tomorrow. That's the CRPG book. Bye for now.